Starlight Storytime, Level 4, Reader 6. From Trees to Gardens. Let's have a look at the cover of this book. The title of this book is From Trees to Gardens. The author of this book is Shabano Bilgrami. The illustrator of this book is Shirin Sayed. What are Sara, Raza, and Nida doing? Nida is digging into the ground with a shovel. Who's that with them? I don't recognize that person. Let's read on to see who it is. Let's turn to the first page. Children, said Mum, I have a big surprise for you. Sara, Raza, and Nida gathered around Mum. Please tell us what it is, begged Sara. Your favorite person is coming to visit this weekend. Favorite person? Raza asked, looking at his sisters. Who could it be? I know, said Nida proudly. It's Aunt Leila. Nida, you smart girl, laughed Mum. Then, winking at Nida, she added, Or did you hear me talking to Aunt Leila on the telephone earlier? Nida giggled and nodded her head. Aunt Leila is visiting from Quetta. You know that she teaches at the university there. She is coming to Karachi for a meeting. She said that she would stay at our house. She will spend Sunday with the three of you. The children were very excited. They loved Aunt Leila. She was Dad's younger sister. She was very smart. She knew so much about plants and animals. Aunt Leila told them stories about her students at the university. She also showed them how to take care of the plants and animals around them. Toto and Bobo loved Aunt Leila. When she visited, she always brought them special treats. She played with them too. Mum, said Nida, I want to wear glasses like Aunt Leila. Look. Mum laughed. You look like a little professor, Nida. What's that? asked Nida. A professor is a teacher for big kids, explained Mum. Like Sara and Raza? asked Nida. No, a professor is a teacher of bigger kids and sometimes even grown-ups. Let's turn the page. At school, Raza told Abid and his friends about his aunt. She's amazing, he said. She teaches at the university. She takes care of nature. Mrs. Mansoor heard what Raza was saying to his friends. Do you mean she's an environmental scientist? She asked, smiling. Raza and Abid looked at each other. Environmental? That was a big word. They'd never heard of it before. Environment means the world around us. An environmental scientist is someone who studies the natural world and teaches us how to protect it, explained Mrs. Mansoor. Oh yes, said Raza, turning red. I knew that. Look at Raza's face. Why do you think his cheeks are red? Poor Raza. I think he was embarrassed because he didn't know what an environmental scientist was. But one should never be ashamed or embarrassed if one doesn't know something. It's always good to learn something new, isn't it? Let's turn the page. Later that day, Mrs. Mansoor called Mum. Mrs. Ahmed, Raza told me that his aunt is visiting and that she is an environmental scientist. Would it be possible for her to come to school and talk to the kids? Raza was standing next to Mum when his teacher called. Please, Mum. Yes, please, he said, jumping up and down in excitement. Sure, Mum said to Mrs. Mansoor. I will ask her when she arrives. Maybe she can stay for an extra day. On Friday, Sara, Raza, and Nida helped Mum get ready for Aunt Leila's visit. They tidied the house, put fresh sheets on the extra bed, and helped to make dinner and salad. Suddenly, the doorbell rang. "She's here! She's here!" yelled Sarah, running to the door. Mom opened the door. There was Aunt Leila. "There's my baby sister," said Dad. Nida looked up. "Baby sister?" she asked. "Yes," said Dad. "Believe it or not, Leila was once as tiny as you." "Look," laughed Sarah. "Toto and Bobo are following you around." Aunt Leila laughed. She took out a special packet of crackers for Toto and some cat food for Bobo. "I didn't forget you. I also have a very special surprise for you too," she added, looking at the children. "I will show you on Sunday after my meeting." Sarah and Raza were very excited. What could it be? On Sunday afternoon, Aunt Leila returned from her meeting. She sat in the garden with Mum and Dad and drank tea. Sarah, Raza, and Nida sat on the grass. Toto and Bobo were there too. "You children have been very patient," smiled Aunt Leila. "Hold on, I have to go and fetch your surprise." She ran into the house and came back with a strange present. "What is that?" asked Raza. "It's a baby tree. It's called a sapling," she replied. "We are going to plant this tree in your garden. I want you to look after it. Every time I visit, we can measure the tree and see how much it has grown." "I don't know," began Sarah. "We've never planted anything before." She was worried that Aunt Leila would find out that she did not know how it was done. "That's why I'm here. I'm going to teach you," laughed Aunt Leila. Aunt Leila and the children took turns digging a big hole in the garden. "Here," she said. "Now we will put this little sapling into the hole. Remember, you have to put it in so that only the roots are under the soil." "What are roots?" asked Nida. "Roots are the part of the plant that stays underground. It brings food and water to the plant from the soil." "Now, Sarah, please put some soil on top and pat it down. See, our little tree's standing up straight. Remember, you have to water the sapling every day, especially in hot weather when the sun is bright." Nida helped Raza water the tree. "So, when will it grow?" asked Nida, sitting on the ground next to the tree. "It'll take time, Nida," said Aunt Leila. "Before long, this little tree will be as tall as the house." Nida's eyes grew big. "That's really tall," she said. "Let's turn the page." Later that night, Nida was sitting at Mum's desk. She was making a painting for Aunt Leila. "No, this is not good," she said, ripping up her paper and throwing it on the floor. "Nida, what is all of this?" asked Aunt Leila. There were many sheets of paper on the floor. They were all drawings that Nida had made but did not like. "Please don't come here. I'm making you a surprise," Nida cried, taking out a fresh sheet of paper. Okay, smiled Aunt Leila. She began to pick up the papers on the floor. "Remember the sapling we planted this afternoon?" asked Aunt Leila. Nida nodded. She was busy drawing. "Well, Nida, all of these were once part of a tree," said Aunt Leila. "Papers made from trees. If you waste paper, you are also hurting trees. Try to use less paper or recycle the paper that you aren't using." "Mrs. Mansoor told us about recycling," said Raza. "It's when you reuse things so that you don't waste them." Let's turn the page. On Monday, Aunt Leila visited Raza's class. She spoke about the environment and how to keep it safe. "There are many ways that you can help," she told the children. You can pick up garbage and throw it in the dustbin. You can recycle plastic and glass. You can also plant more trees like Raza did. Everyone turned to look at Raza. He smiled proudly. Sana raised her hand. Miss, why are trees so important? Oh, there are many reasons, so many reasons. They give us shade. When they make their own food, they give off oxygen, which we need to breathe. We make so many things out of them, including paper and furniture. Well, children, it's time for me to go, said Aunt Lela the next day. Oh, please stay, said Nida. I wish I could, but I have to go back to the university. My students need me, she smiled. Next time I come, I want to see how tall your tree has grown. Remember to water it every day. Yes, Aunt Lela, said Sara. The following week, Mum couldn't find Nida anywhere. Raza, Sara, have you seen Nida? She asked, worried. She's not in her room. No, Mum, said Sara. Should we look for her? I found her, shouted Raza from the garden. Mum and Sara ran outside.